Welcome to today's education seminar, Navigating New USDA Regulations and the Supply Chain. My name is Matt Dijksterhouse, and I'm a member of the education team at Gordon Food Service. I have the privilege to walk you through some of the upcoming procurement changes that are coming from the USDA, as well as share some updates on the supply chain challenges that we're all facing. Finally, I want to share what Gordon Food Service is doing to adjust as a result of this. After that, I'm going to be able to turn everything over to Jenny from the Nutritional Resource Center for some great information. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we dive all the way in, I want to stop right here with this slide and this image that we're looking at. You know, over the last couple years, it has been a very challenging time for everybody. And we've, as a nation, stopped and called out the heroes of people who have stepped in, whether that was in healthcare or anywhere else really. But one area that I think that I have not heard enough salute to is to our school food service heroes. That's you. We are extremely thankful for everything that you have been doing. You have been stretched and pushed, and we see you as a hero during this time. You have fed our communities during this pandemic, and we want to thank you for that and let you know that we are here for you at Gordon Food Service. So as we dive in, we're going to touch on some of those things. Our agenda for today, we're going to talk about navigating in rough waters. What does this look like? We're going to talk about understanding the new USDA regulations, specifically policy FD40. We're going to dive into level set what that current process looks like from a procurement standpoint. What is the FD40 policy? And how will it impact you? Then we're going to talk about the supply chain. Where have we been? Where are we going? And what can we do? And then finally, the best part, we're going to turn over to Jenny and the Nutritional Resource Center for some great information and great resources that are available for you as well. So let's dive in. As we've been talking through this as a team from an education standpoint, we've been using the illustration of rough waters. Essentially what happened in the middle of our 1920 and 2021 school years is we've seen a hurricane hit us. We've felt bent over like that, and it's felt like it's been that big. It feels like this hurricane has come across school food service, and you've been challenged to respond in ways that you've never had to before. You've been coming up with deliveries at home. You've become community feeders, and you've been going non-stop. Just because the school year ended didn't mean that you ended, and that changes how you've had to go. We have been on quite a journey. That is not an easy thing to do. We were all excited. Now that we've got that first year behind us, we're ready to go forward. But staying with that same illustration of being hit by a hurricane, there's always the cleanup that comes after that, right? And so just because we made it through the storm doesn't mean everything is going to go well, and we've all experienced that. We stepped out from that storm and noticed the wreckage and the damage that was all left over, and how that impacted how we go to work, how we do what we do, and how we serve the kids that we are responsible for. We've seen the supply chain get completely thrown out of whack. You were faced with more staffing challenges than you've ever had before. We've seen shortages, and then the USDA has continued moving forward. While they've stepped back on some regulations, they've been moving forward with some others. And so that's what I wanted to transition and talk about a little bit with you today. The USDA commodity team, let's just kind of talk a little bit. I want to level set what our current process looks like for direct diversion. So for some of you, this form may look familiar. This is a worksheet planner form. You may be using this. Gordon Food Service provides this in order to help you determine how many pounds to divert to each processor and each USDA ingredient. If you're not using this, you probably have your own form, or you're using one that was provided for you by a vendor or manufacturer. But either way, you need to figure out how you're going to divert your dollars so that you can get the proper spend. So once you've used the worksheet planner, whether it was one that you created or used from the vendor or from us, you then take that and you load your cases and pounds into the system. Let's level set for a minute. We're going to talk about the current process for direct diversion. It's something that you do, but just for the sake of our conversation, I want to kind of get us all on the same page. So I know you're familiar with this, the modified fee for service. But what happens when you identify a product that is modified fee for service, here's what happens on the backside. So The way it works out with a modified fee for service, Gordon Food Service only sells it to the schools that have allocations. So if a school doesn't make allocations, we don't sell it to them, right? Drawdown happens once you have received that product. So you can order it, but the drawdown doesn't actually take place until the truck backs up to your building, your door, and that's when we go ahead and apply that drawdown. Once your allocation is out, it can no longer be purchased. And that's why when you're in online ordering, you'll go from the green shield to the red shield. That's what has happened, right? You've run out of your allocations. Gordon Food Service can sell this really to anyone who has allocations, and so that's how that part works out. Let me give an example. So let's say you've worked through the worksheet wizard and you say, boy, at the end of the day, I'm gonna need 200 pounds. And someone else goes through that same worksheet and they come back and they say, I'm gonna need 100. Well, that gets loaded, it comes to Gordon Food Service, we take a look at that and say, well, looks like we're gonna need a total of 300, so we order 300. When you go into order, you need 10 cases today, so you order, or 10 pounds worth, you order 10, the other place goes in and orders 20, and you're able to get your product, and everything works well. That's what that means, that Gordon Food Service can sell it to anyone who has allocations. That's how that breaks down. Makes sense, right? The next option is the net off invoice, or NOI. When you identify a product that is net off invoice, or NOI, the way it works, Gordon Food Service actually can sell that product to anyone. And so anybody who buys product from Gordon Food Service has access to that product, but because you have allocations, you pay a discounted commodity price for it. Once your allocations are gone, you can still continue to buy the product, but you're gonna receive it at a commercial price rather than at the discounted commodity price. So there's our level set. Make sense? All right. Now, that brings us to the USDA Commodity FD40 Policy Memo. Wonderful name. What is the FD40 Policy Memo? Well, it is a memo, and we're going to break this down a little bit, that has actually been in play for quite some time. It was originally created back in 2005. It's gone through review. It's been processed. Folks have looked through it, given their feedback on it, but it's going to go into effect in the 2022-2023 school year. So that's when it's going to go live. So that's why we want to talk about it with you right now. So what is it? Well, essentially, it's directing how the modified fee-for-service product is going to be handled. The reason we did the level set is for this right here. So when you identify a product that has been modified fee-for-service, this is how it's going to go in the future. Gordon Food Service can only sell it to the school that made the allocations. Okay? You pay the discounted commodity price, exactly the same as it was before. The drawdown happens once the product is received at the warehouse. We'll come back to this. And once your allocation is out, it can no longer be purchased. And finally, you are required to take the product by the end of the school year. So there's a couple things I really want to call out here that are different than what the current use of modified fee-for-service is. And that is, Gordon Food Service can only sell it to the school that made the allocations. Let me use that example that I used earlier. So if you say you're going to need 200 pounds, and another school says they need 100 pounds, you inform Gordon Food Service, but the other school notified us and you haven't. Let's just say that, okay? So we go ahead and order the 100 cases in because they said that's what they need. When they go to order, it's available, they can order their 10 cases or whatever it was they needed. But even though we have it in the warehouse, because you haven't told us, we haven't brought it in yet. So you can't order it until we have received the product that you have requested. And so you'll tell us, then we will go to the manufacturer. Once it's been received by us, then you will be able to access it. Now, that's different because in the past, if we had that 100 cases sitting there, you would be able to pull on that and we would still place that order and we would divvy it out when the rest of it came in. So it's going to be a little bit different there. The other part that's different is when the drawdown takes place. Meaning, before, the drawdown would take place once we left it at your back door. Now the drawdown takes place once we receive it at our warehouse. If you need 100 cases, that 100 cases is going to draw down once it's been received. And that leads us to the final point. Because it's already been allocated to you, you are required to take the product by the end of the school year. Now, for some of you, that's not going to be a big deal. You do it anyway. But for some of you, that might be a little bit different. So we just wanted to make sure that you were aware of how that policy memo is going to impact you a little bit. So how is Gordon Food Service responding to this? What is Gordon Food Service going to do about it? Well, if you've diverted to a modified fee-for-service product, we will accept this process. Nothing is going to change there. But in working with the USDA, we're introducing what's called closed SKU net off invoice value pass-through method. Let me explain what that is, and it might sound familiar. Gordon Food Service, if a product is designated as a closed SKU net off invoice product, Gordon Food Service can sell that to anyone that has made an allocation. You pay the discounted commodity price. The drawdown happens once the product is delivered to you, and once your allocation is out, it can no longer be purchased. If it sounds familiar, it's because it is. It is the exact same process that exists today for modified fee-for-service. We're seeing some manufacturers start to make a transition to closed SKU net off invoice away from the modified fee-for-service. Now, not everybody's going there, but we foresee that that's going to be continuing to happen. What should you consider as a result of this? Well, think about what vendors you divert to, knowing what will be required of you to accept all the product that you request. The other part is planning in advance and communication. So can you provide an order sheet in the fall for the remainder of the school year so that Gordon Food Service can order it for you? Now, it's not going to be necessarily required. However, we are going to ask that you communicate to us when you would like the product delivered, and this will need to be at least 2 months in advance of when you want the product. The main reason for that is it's going to hinge on the lead time of the vendor. Every vendor is going to be different, but we know that we're safe at the 2-month window. But from an ideal standpoint, our recommendation is to have this to Gordon Food Service at least 6 months in advance. And you'll be able to share that and work through that with your salesperson. So let's summarize here. Modified fee-for-service is changing as a result of the FD40 policy memo. How is it changing? The drawdown of allocation will happen when the product is received at the distributor's warehouse rather than when it's received at your back door. And the other part is distributors can only sell the product to the school that made the allocation. The value pass-through method of closed SKU net off invoice, or closed SKU NOI, is being introduced. And this will act the same as the current modified fee-for-service method. Vendors are beginning to move in this direction, and you're probably going to see more and more vendors go this way. Now, if you divert to a modified fee-for-service product, we're going to be asking you to place your order a minimum of 2 months in advance so that we can manage that process. And your salesperson will be working very closely with you on the details and the timelines of these communications. All of that being said, we're going to see these changes, and it seems like it's all happening right in the middle of the supply chain challenges that we're facing. And so I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the supply chain. Now, I don't know about you, but 2 years ago, I just knew that things showed up. I didn't know all the details of all the process and how it went from each place and all the steps that were tied to it. But now I am very much aware of that. And I'm sure you've probably heard more about the supply chain than you ever thought you would ever hear. But as we dive into this, I like this little illustration here that kind of walks us through all the moving parts that happen in the supply chain. If you look to the top left where it says students, ideally what we're doing is our menus are being driven and dictated by our students, by the kids, because we care about them. We want to make sure we're taking care of them in the best possible way. Well, based off of what their demand is, we order, raw materials are generated. Then it goes to the supplier, who then those end up going to the manufacturer to help put the product together before it comes to Gordon Food Service, and then ultimately before it makes it to you and onto the students' plates. But as you can see, there are moving parts all the way along through this circle. A great example of this, I was speaking with one manufacturer. They had all their product ready. They were ready to bring it to market, except they were waiting for their supplier for glass bottles to put their sauce in. And so they couldn't come to market because they were waiting on their supplier. And if you have challenges at any point along the way, we're all going to feel the effects of that. So I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about what is impacting that and where that's going. So what is impacting the supply chain? What is coming in freight? And then finally, what is Gordon Food Service doing about it? So as we dive into this here, let's take a look. There are really 4 major components that we're seeing having an impact on the supply chain. The first one is labor. And so we are seeing the COVID outbreaks still taking place, and it's leaving manufacturers or suppliers short-staffed. Many quarantine protocols are still in place. It varies across the country where those are, and that's having an impact on how the manufacturing process is coming together. We've also noticed that there were many companies that have not rehired workers after their dramatic cost cutting from a couple of years back. And they're still behind from a labor standpoint. And add to that an increased demand across the board, and many can't keep up with the business. So we're seeing everything happen all at the exact same time from a labor standpoint. The second factor that's impacting supply chain right now are plant efficiencies. Kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, but the staffing and the labor are rolling into this. Because of short staffing, it's giving us slower run times. So what's happening is it's taking longer for the product to be manufactured. If someone comes in and they've been exposed and they need to be quarantined and they may be exposed to others around them, they have been sent home, which slows the entire line down. Social distance modifications have impacted the manufacturing floor. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to tour a manufacturing floor prior to COVID, but there are a lot of cases where folks are shoulder to shoulder. Now, that's not everybody, but a lot of times that's the case. And so plants have had to adjust. It's had an impact on how they do their work. They've also put in enhanced safety requirements, which is a good thing. However, it changes how things get done. And so the last thing that we're seeing is product changeovers are causing delays. And what do I mean by that? When the line is being used for one product, then we go ahead and they would change it to do something very similar to run the next line of product. That changeover is taking a lot of time. And so it's causing backups, and products aren't getting out to us or to you in time. The third component that's impacting supply chain is the variable demand on inventory positions. So in other words, what's happening is there are times where forecasting accuracy is completely thrown out the window. Prior to the pandemic, everything was very much driven by metrics and computers, and we could figure everything out without any problem. Historical demand was the way we figured it all out. However, what we're finding is it's not any good right now. It's hard to figure out what we need. It's hard for manufacturers to figure out what they need to produce. And so we're running into all these different challenges that are impacting the supply chain. Historical demand is not a good indicator of future demand at this stage. Weekly demand fluctuations are hard to react and recover from. And so there's a lot of challenges that are happening from that standpoint. And the final thing that's impacting us is the tight freight market, carrier capacity. You'll notice in the illustration to the right, every one of those arrows requires transportation. And so how do we get there? And that's a consistent in every part of the supply chain. And when the freight market gets tight, carrier capacity is limited, that impacts the entire supply chain. And so what we're seeing is that the load per truck demand is at the worst it's ever been. We're seeing truckload rates continue to increase due to the shortage of drivers and trucks. And so if we don't have enough trucks, we don't have enough drivers, the rates are increasing to try to slow down some of that demand, and so that's all coming through the product. And the last part of that's connected to this is that the fuel costs have leveled off recently, but they are still elevated overall. And so that is impacting the cost all the way through the chain, and that's why we're seeing the price increases that we're seeing today. With all of this, what are we doing about it at Gordon Food Service? We've known it's been here. We are in the same wreckage that we referenced at the beginning of cars being underwater and everything torn apart. So what is Gordon Food Service doing about it? Well, it's really forced us to think and do things differently. We're changing how often we order. We're ordering more to get an improved inventory position. We are ordering enough extra items to get safety stocked to more normal levels. Some of you may not know, but when the pandemic first hit, we had to empty a lot of our warehouses out. And so we did not have a lot of the safety stock. And we're working in the midst of the manufacturing challenges to increase our normal stock levels. And we've been doing a much better job, by the way. We're planning for upcoming holidays. We're working ahead. We're working with key vendor partners to be positioned with our fair share allocation as well. And while we do have categories that have been heavily impacted by supply shortages, and you probably know exactly which ones those are, our shortfalls are not across all categories. So this is kind of a positive spin right here, that there are some items that have been terrible, but there have been some items that have actually done really well, have been pretty consistent. And so we want to call that out also. And finally, we have brought in more alternative product and dual sourcing on key product assortments than we ever have before. They're now available. And some of you have noticed this. We're bringing items in mid-year. We rarely have done that in the past, but because of some of the challenges, we've made changes and we've been able to do this to make sure you have the product that you need. So let's talk a little bit about Gordon Ordering. Now, the digital experience team has done an incredible job of creating a new order entry platform. And I'm going to touch on just a couple of parts of that as it relates to education, but I really want to encourage you to reach out to your digital solutions team. And if you don't know who that is, you can reach out through your salesperson to figure out exactly who that is, to get more understanding of what this is, because it's a really powerful tool. What do I mean by that? Well, Gordon Ordering, many of you have been using our online ordering platform today, and it is a wonderful tool, and it's done really, really well for us. We have been investing in a new platform to be able to take us to the next level. And one of the key components of that is inventory validation while ordering. Let me break down what that means. In other words, what we're going to be doing is we're going to tell you how much inventory we have when you place the order rather than waiting till after you've submitted your order. You know today that when you go through, you can do your entire order, you hit submit, and then you wait for the edit to come back and let you know whether something was in stock or not. With Gordon Ordering, if you are ordering when it's going to be processed, what will happen is when you try to place your order, if something is out, we will let you know at that point, which is pretty powerful and a great enhancement. This is a feature that we are rolling out, we're super excited about. Well, we're bringing it to market because of where we are today with the supply chain and the challenges that have come along. A couple other great features that are in Gordon Ordering, critical item lists. Critical item list, basically what happens is you can set up reminders to make sure you don't forget to order a certain item. In other words, if I want to make sure that I always order a specific item, when I go to check out, a box will pop up, a message will pop up and say, we're looking at your order and notice you didn't order this. Do you want to order it? And it's based off of what you have put in there to make sure we never forget to order a certain item. Our last order invoice date, it's all going to show up in here. Order editing. In other words, you build your order and you realize, oh, I thought I needed 10, but I actually needed 15. You can go ahead and change that. Or I thought I needed 10, but you only needed 5. You can edit that as well. Today, you have to reach out to your IST and they can make that change for you. You'll be able to do that going forward. You can even cancel an order, but I don't like that idea. So we won't talk much about that. We'll dive into this and I'll show you this product comparison. Great new feature that you're probably already experiencing when you shop online at home, and we're bringing it to our Gordon Ordering platform. And we can save and share carts, a lot of great things. We're changing a couple things, the names of things. We have our quick add, which is the 10 key that you may use today, and ordering it directly into the cart. So that works out really well too. You can skip a step that you don't have to do now today. And one of these other things that I want to touch on is digital coupons. So digital coupons, you've probably seen them, but there hasn't been a place for our education customers to take advantage of them. Going forward, you will, and I'll show you what I mean by that. If you look at this right here, what I'm doing is I'm showing you a screen of what it looks like today and what it's going to look like in the future. I'd mentioned digital coupons. If you look at the way our current ordering platform looks, you can see right there on the screen it says $10 off appetizers. Now, that's constantly changing. Some of those will be applicable for you, some of them will not be. But today, there's no place for you to put that code in when you check out. In the new Gordon ordering platform, you will, which is pretty exciting. But you'll notice, what I really wanted to draw your attention to here on the screen is that you'll notice it looks pretty similar. So it's a new platform, but it's not a dramatic change. That's going to be a great thing. You'll be able to intuitively navigate your way around this system and be able to find some things. Some things are changing, and anytime there's change, it's going to be different, and those are going to be things that you'll be able to work through, but we'll make sure you feel supported during that process. I wanted to show you this right here. I mentioned some things are changing. Commodities are still a valuable part, and you'll be able to use them within the ordering platform, but the view is going to change a little bit. So you'll notice the screen looks a little bit different, and I had to do a double take on this myself. Boy, it doesn't look, did we lose something? And we didn't. It's just arranged a little bit differently. First thing I want to call out for you here is on the bottom there's a green triangle, and it says USDA Foods Allocation Balances. That green triangle is our new shield, and it says CO in it for commodities. So when you see that, it's going to look a little bit different. This is the exact same feature as what you had before. You'll be able to see the number of how much you have left from an allocation standpoint when you click on it, but also on the main screen. And you'll be able to see how the balances are working out just like you can today. So there's nothing new there. It just looks a little bit different, but it's pretty cool. This is what I was referencing earlier. Today, when you go into Gordon Ordering and you go to order an item that's going to be processed, when you hit submit, it'll be processed and sent. We will tell you in real time whether that product's out of stock. Now, you're going to have to bear with me here as you look at the screen and look at the examples. I am well aware you are probably not ordering very many tenderloins or beef strips into the school. And maybe that's why it's showing up as being out of stock. But in this example, please forgive me, I just needed a screenshot. That's what we're showing. But you can see what happened was I tried to order one, but we didn't have enough on hand. So we're temporarily out of stock. So we're going to tell you now rather than waiting for you to submit your order and come back and then tell you. So that's going to apply to all items. But that's what that screen does, which I think is a huge upgrade. It addresses a lot of the challenges we're talking about when it comes to the supply chain. And we really think this is going to be beneficial for you. Now, I don't know if you caught it, but I was clarifying. I was trying to be intentional about saying when I'm doing my order that will be submitted today, this will be here. What we're doing is we're looking at real-time inventory and making sure that that data is accurate. If you are placing your order as a future order, which I know many of you do, this flag will not pop up because what you're doing is you're ordering for a couple days out and we don't know where our inventory level is going to be at that time. So when you do it as a future order, it holds, right? And then it gets submitted. When it gets submitted, you'll be able to get real-time information. But when you're building the order, if you're doing it as a future order, this flag will not pop up. But we will still, I want to show you I'm going to take you back a couple screens to the first screen. On the right there where it says thank you for your order, this is what you'll see if a product is out. Sorry, we don't have enough inventory. You can fix it with a substitute. So we're going to show you that there. So that's how that's going to work out. I'm really excited about this feature, by the way. I think it's going to be really cool. And this one is a great one as well. This is the product comparison. So as you are looking at different products, tell me more about it. So I love to do this when I'm at home and I'm looking at shoes or TVs or books, because I'm kind of weird that way. But when I go do that shopping, I can compare them side by side and take a look about the different features that are available. And that's what we're looking at here. So I can identify these and compare them all at the same time. I can take a look at their price. I can take a look at the descriptions. I can see nutritional information. All of that's available when I go to compare. Now I'm really excited because our digital team is going to jump in right now and show you a live look at how the tool works and how you can take advantage of some of these great features.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Bishop, and I am a digital solution specialist for Gordon Food Service. And what I'm going to do today is I am going to take the time to share my screen and give you a little inside view of what the new Gordon Ordering online ordering platform is going to look like. So first up, I just want to make sure that you guys know when you get ready to sign into this platform, you are not going to have to request a new username or password. Your same username and same password that you're currently using today to log in to online ordering will be the same that you'll use for the new Gordon ordering platform. So you'll see here, once you hit that sign in button up in the upper right hand corner, it's going to ask you to choose a system that you want to sign into. Now, our existing platform, US Online Ordering, is going to exist here on the left-hand side. You will still have access to this for the time being. So for now, you will have access to both systems. So our original US Online Ordering is going to be on the left, and the new Gordon Ordering is going to be here on the right-hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click Sign In. And then what's going to happen is it's going to automatically open up to this new platform. So you'll notice the first thing that pops out is the calendar. So no more clicking start order for that calendar to pop out. That calendar is automatically going to pop out and it's going to allow you to select your delivery date. So you'll see here, this one has already advanced to the next available delivery date. You can do a future order if you wish. Just simply go through and click on the date that you wish to place your order for. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and leave it for our next delivery date. And you'll also notice that once I select my delivery date, I also see over here on this right hand side, it tells me the day that I'm going to get my delivery on, as well as my actual cutoff time for this delivery. So, in order for me to get my delivery on March 2nd, I have to have my order placed by February 28th by 11 p.m. So now if I want, I can go ahead and start my order, or we have added in this option for you to just browse. So if you just want to take a look around, you do have the ability now to do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and click on start my order. And you'll notice that once I do that, the delivery calendar has went away. But if I do want to change the date, I can come back up here and click on that calendar and it will pop back out and allow me to make any changes that I need to make. Also, once I did that, you'll notice I now have this banner here that runs across the top that also tells me that in order for me to get my order by March 2nd, I need to have my order placed by February 28th at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this does stay here just to keep that friendly reminder to me of the time that I need to make sure that I get that order placed by. So now just a little bit of navigation through here. So you'll see here up at the top, we have ordering. That's where we're at. If you need to get back to experience or some of the other resources, you're going to find that here under more tools. Sliding across the top, we will have our customer name, customer number, and then over here under account, you do have the option to go into those preferences. So if you want to sign up for email notifications or text notifications, you can do that here under preference. And then here under order tools, if you would like to import your order, you can do that, as well as quick adds. So if you want to do any 10 key ordering, you can do that here. It's simply going to be underneath the order tools option. All right, now for the fun to begin. So you can see here, we kind of just gave our website just a nice, pretty little overview. If you want to scroll through here, you can scroll through and look at all of the different options that we have available on here. Lots of different things if you're looking for some coupons or if you're looking for some recipe ideas. Lots of product information in here. So go ahead and click on those shop now buttons if any of those interest you. Otherwise, we're going to start looking right through here. So we've just got a couple of new options here. So we moved from that left-handed menu in our original US online ordering to this top bar menu here in Gordon ordering. So you'll notice here we've got guides, categories, and orders. Orders does have a drop down. It'll allow you to look into order history, invoices, and credits. And then you'll notice we have this word categories here. And so what's happened a little bit is categories has replaced the word catalog for us. So you'll remember in our existing platform, if you had the ability to search catalog, you would see the word catalog, you could search, you could drill down in. Well, this new platform that we have, Gordon Ordering, is a North American friendly platform. So all of our customers in Canada and here in the US are using the same platform. And you know that in different parts of the world, we like to spell the same word a little bit differently. So rather than having two different types of the spelling of catalog, we just moved to the word categories. So you can still click into categories. We've got all of these great subcategories that you can then drill further down into and look at subcategories so that you can truly find those products that you're really looking for. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on guides. So this is where your order guide is now going to live. You'll notice once I click on order guide, we've got a couple of options that open up in here. So we have our order guide. This is going to be the first option here. You can also look at changes in the last 30 days made to your order guide. Then over here on the right-hand side, we have this critical items list. And there's an option here for us to learn how to use this. So what this critical items list is this a list that you and your CDS or your education rep or your healthcare rep can help you manage this list. And so, what this list does is if you frequently forget to order things such as paper towels, eggs, milk, butter, those sorts of things that you want to make sure that you are reminded to order every time you place an order, you can now put those items into this critical items list. And as you go to checkout, if none of those items in your critical item list are in your shopping cart, the system will do a comparison of your cart to your critical items list and give you the opportunity to order any of those items at the time of checkout, just so that you don't forget them. So, and there's also these little click throughs so you can learn a little bit more about these things if you want to see how they work. Down here is also custom guides. So, what custom guides is we brought over from US online ordering. If you had created any of those lists called My List, so if you had done any sheet to shelf customization or created any menu cycle rotation list, we're going to go ahead and migrate those into Gordon ordering for you so that you won't have to recreate those lists. So those are going to be brought over and those are going to now be called custom guides. So you're not losing them. We're just kind of changing the name of them a little bit. And then we're also still giving you the ability to create a new custom guide. So that option is going to be over here on the right-hand side. And there's also the option to import a guide. If you've got something in a spreadsheet form and you want to go ahead and import that, you can do that as well. And now if you want to know what the difference is between all of these, what's really nice is we have this little click-through guide here that will help you understand the difference between your order guide, your critical items list, and your custom guides. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of there. I'm going to go ahead and take a peek inside of the order guide here. So you'll notice we've cleaned this up a little bit. So we now have all of those categories that you're used to seeing here on the left-hand side. So just like you had your order guide is going to transition into Gordon ordering. So we're going to bring that over for you. So you'll have that available. You'll notice here, let's take a look at this category. So here we have this dry grocery category. We can see here we've got chicken patties, whole grain breaded. You'll notice that we do have our commodity icon. So if I hover over this green icon, it is going to tell me what it stands for. So this just tells me it's a USDA commodity item. It's green. So that does indicate to me that I do have some availability of this product. And then over here in the middle of this product description, you'll see how much of that product you have available. If you go ahead and click on that, it is going to give you a pop out to give you a little bit more detail on that commodity item and where your balances stand. So we did still bring that over again, just looks a little bit different, but it is still here and available for you to look at. Now you'll also notice that we have this purple icon that says FP. So if I hover over this, this just tells me that this is a firm priced bid item. So this is an item that you do have bid pricing on. And then if I want more information on this product, I just click on the product detail here. And then it does open up and I get a little bit more information, packaging and storing, vendor, product attributes, nutrition facts. So my label is all still in here and my school equivalents, all of those are all listed in here, as well as the ingredients. Those are going to be listed here. And for those of you looking for those K-12 spec sheets, that is listed here. So I know it says click here for that. And we used to have that linked in US online ordering. Currently here, if you want this spec sheet, just go ahead and highlight and copy this, and then go ahead and put that in a browser and this will open up for you. So we didn't make it a click on link, but we did still make sure that you had the link available to you. And then if you scroll a little bit further down, you'll be able to see your movement. All this is telling you is the last time you ordered it, the date it was delivered, and how much of the product that you ordered. And so if you want to see more order history on it, you can go ahead and click more, and it will continue to give you more ordering history on this item. Now, the one exciting thing that we did add to this, and I scrolled quickly past it and I'm going to go back to it, is you'll notice here that we do have a new feature. This is our live inventory feature. So whatever DC that you might be attached to, once you go ahead and select your delivery date, it will give you a live inventory for how much of this product we currently have in our warehouse available to order. And again, that is going to be available to you within the product details page. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our main order guide page. And I'm just going to scroll through here a little bit and show you a couple of more features that we do have available for you. So you'll notice here we do show you the last time that this product was ordered, as well as how much of it was ordered. So that there is available for you as well. And we also have this new feature called Compare. So if I'm looking for a product and maybe it's something new and I'm not really sure which product I want to order, we now have this neat Compare feature. And so what you can do is go ahead and check these boxes. You can compare up to 5 products at a time. So I'm just going to go ahead and select these chicken products and take a look at them. You'll notice that once I put a check in this compare box, this big blue compare button pops up here down on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and select this compare. And now you'll see it does give me a side-by-side comparison of these products so that I can take a look at them and decide which one is going to work best for me. It also tells me that this is an order guide item. It also shows me that these are commodity items. It gives me the case price. And then if I scroll down, I'll get all of those descriptions. I'll get price per weight, packaging and storing. I can look at the brands, and I can also look at product attributes. Once you're good and all of your products here, maybe let's say this is the one we want to go ahead and order. I'm just going to go ahead and put those in the cart. I'm going to go ahead and hit back. And so you'll see here that we still have that quantity box available. So you can go ahead and you can put your quantities in the quantity box. I'm going to scroll through here and see if I can find some items that maybe aren't commodity items, and I'll put those in the cart so I can show you a couple of other new features that we have added in. Let's get some veggies and some cheese. I think that should be good. And you'll notice that once I put these quantities in the quantity box, they do still add to the cart, still gives you a cart quantity as well as dollar value. And then once you're ready to check out, that same process still applies. So you can still go up here, you can still click on your cart to check out. Once we do that, it does give you the review order screen. So we're taking a look here. This is letting us know that this is an active cart. So a couple of things that we can do here, we can still move this cart to a custom guide. So if we want all of these items added to an existing guide, we can do that here by selecting the guide, and the system will auto add all of these items to that guide. We do have the ability to create a new guide. So this is a quick way to create one of those custom guides, right? We can come in, put everything in the cart that we want, create a new guide, give it a name, and the system will then save that as one of our custom guides to refer back to. You'll also notice next to this, we now have the ability to move this cart to a saved cart. So this is a great way for you guys to be able to work on multiple carts at the same time. So what you would be able to do is you would just come in here, you would click move to save carts, you would give the cart, and you'll see here that it is now saved for later. And this now lets someone else come in, and they can start working on another order if they want to. Or if you want to save this cart and you want somebody else to look at it, they can go ahead, and then once they log in and they're connected to your customer number, they can reactivate this cart, and then they can make any edits, any changes to it that they need to. So again, just a great way for you to work on multiple orders at the same time. We also have the ability for you to print. You can still empty your cart here if you need to. Up at the top, you can give it a PO. Once everything here looks good, you're just going to go ahead and hit Let's Review Your Order. And now this is where if we would have had any of those items in that critical item list, it would have compared that list to our cart. And if we would have had any of those items missing, it would have given us the opportunity to order those items before we went ahead and placed our order through. So looking this over, if everything here looks good, all I need to do now is over here on the right-hand side, I can see that this cart is going to be submitted for approval. So I can go ahead and hit submit for approval, and my approver will see that she's got an order pending, and they will have to go in and go ahead and review that order and submit. But for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and empty my cart here. The other great thing that we have done is we have also given customers the ability to edit orders and select their own subs. So, how that works is once an order is placed, and as long as it's before the cutoff time, what you are able to do is you're able to come in here, you're able to open up that order. And if this was before the cutoff time, what we would be able to do is you would see this pencil here. And so you would be able to click on that pencil. And if you wanted to increase the quantity of that case, you could do that. If you wanted to decrease the quantity of that case, you could do that. You could also delete that whole line item altogether. And you would also have the ability to cancel the whole order. Now, again, you would only be able to have that ability if it is before your cutoff time. So you are now able to make any edits and any changes to your orders up until your cutoff time. We've also kept the ability for you to look for invoice and credits. So if at any time you need to find a copy of an invoice or maybe a copy of the credit, maybe one got lost, it got damaged, or whatever the case may be, you do still have the ability to come back in here and look for copies of your invoices and credits. There are 13 months worth of those housed in here, so you'll be able to come in and search for those and print those copies out as needed. And that's pretty much all of the new functions and features that we have inside of our new online ordering platform. Thanks everyone for watching our demo of our new Gordon ordering platform. We hope that you love it as much as we do. And Matt, back to you.
That was awesome. Hopefully you found it as valuable as I did. I want to draw your attention to one final component, and that is for your feedback. You are going to see on nearly every screen this little blue face that you'll be able to tap into to give us some feedback. When you click on it, you're going to see these other emojis pop up to give us some of your thoughts. Now, sometimes just the picture does it. That's fine. There's also a box where you can put some of your words to it as well. But we're going to take that information and we're using that to help shape and form and build this platform for you. Because really, that's the most important part of this whole thing. We're using that feedback to help us continue to develop the program. And I call that out because you may notice that there are some items in or some features in this program that are not in the other program yet. That's because we're still waiting for feedback and we're still building this out. But we wanted to get into your hands the information about the inventory. So thank you for your patience on that, and really, we thank you for your feedback. And now I'm really excited to throw it over to Jenny. Jenny and the Nutritional Resource Center have put together some incredible resources for you that are really specific to COVID and how you can thrive during this time. You know, as we talked about at the very beginning about navigating in these rough waters and getting through the hurricane and coming through the outside of it, we are here, and Jenny and the Nutritional Resource Center are here to make sure that you can be successful.
Thanks, Matt. That was really wonderful information that you just shared with all of us. I'm sure that will be a benefit to everyone watching. My name is Jenny Bombach, and I am the Education Nutritionist in the Nutrition Resource Center here at Gordon Food Service. I will be talking with you about what's new in K-12 resources from the NRC, as well as existing resources, as a reminder of what is available to you, or maybe you'll learn about some resources you weren't familiar with. So let's get started with taking a look at the newer resources first. First up are the K-12 scratch recipes. Speed scratch recipes offer the convenience, nutrition, and variety your staff and students will appreciate. Speed scratch is simply using ready-made products and adding ingredients to make the job easier. It allows a school kitchen to reduce time and provides opportunities to use one product in multiple recipes. Other benefits to Speed Scratch is that typically those recipes are lower in sodium as you're able to control the ingredients, and it also costs less than purchasing prepared products. In 2021, we started hearing requests for more scratch-cooked recipes from K-12 operators. In order to meet this need, we worked with vendors who developed recipes. Those vendors included Tyson, Land O'Lakes, and General Mills, as well as the USDA. We then entered them in our menu software program in order to provide the nutrition analysis for these recipes. There are over 45 total. And on the experience page, you will find the production recipe, the nutrition with meal components, and any relevant K-12 documentation available for your use. You can find this resource on Gordon Experience at Resources, then Great for Schools, then the page title, Scratch Recipes, Get Cooking School Meals. Next, we have the K-12 meal kits. During the COVID-19 pandemic, K-12 operators have been challenged to find new ways to package meals for student families and staff. With most schools back to in-person learning now, don't forget that meal kits can be a way to generate additional revenue for your school district. To make it easier for you, we created this resource called Rev Up Revenue with Meal Kits. There are theme meal ideas such as Italian Night, Taco Tuesday, barbecue pork dinner, and General Tso chicken. Each theme meal includes ideas for entrees and side dishes so you can easily assemble the meal kits for a full meal. This information can be found on Gordon Experience on the Coronavirus Action Resource page, and then click on Education Resources. Another challenge during the COVID-19 pandemic has been finding the right products for your meal service style and continuing to make changes as shutdowns and reopenings were going on. To help you through these challenging times, we've created several different menus based on the National School Lunch Program, or NSLP, Seamless Summer Option, or SSO, and Summer Food Service Program, or SFSP, regulations. Our back-to-school menus are based on the NSLP and SSO guidelines. 2 versions of this menu are available and include traditional meal service and strictly individually wrapped items, and also take into account product availability by distribution center. The summer and emergency feeding menus can assist you if you're using the SFSP guidelines to feed your students. These also include a traditional version and individually wrapped version, and again, are based on products in your distribution center. Knowing that products have been a challenge to source, we also created a menu substitution list to provide commodity items you can consider if substitutions are needed at any time. This list is also provided based on distribution center. Waivers can be very helpful if you need flexibility in your meal service during the COVID-19 pandemic. To help guide you through the various waivers that are available, check out this resource from the NRC called Child Nutrition Nationwide Waiver Update for school year 2021-2022. Included in this document are links to a summary of federal waivers, state-specific waivers, waivers for SSO, a meal service comparison chart, and even white papers from Team Nutrition. Next, we have our COVID-19 white paper resources. We know that COVID-19 has presented many challenges, from adapting to new meal service models to new cleaning and sanitizing guidelines, and even staffing challenges. We also know that you are busy and don't always have the time to research what best practices are being learned in the wake of the pandemic. That's where our white papers come in. These 4 white paper topics are designed to give you a summary of best practices you can rely on to meet these challenges head-on. Let our industry knowledge serve you and save you time and effort. These white papers can also be found on the Education Coronavirus Action Resource page. Here we have guidance for you on grants. More funding is something we could all use these days, whether it's money to buy new kitchen equipment, start a cafeteria renovation, or hire more kitchen staff for your operation. Grants are a great way to obtain additional funds. Look to our quick tips for education grants handout for more information about grants, including Grants 101, searching and applying for grants, and how to track the status of your grant application. There is also a link to our recent webinar about grants, which has 1 hour of continuing education units available. That wraps up our overview of our newer resources, and now we'll take a look at previous existing resources, starting with menu support. Our K-12 menus are all included in the Making the Grade publication, and the menus are updated biannually. The latest update was in spring 2021. This book includes cycle menus for grades K through 8 and 9 through 12, along with recipes, full nutrition analysis, and meal equivalents. The menus are a 5-week menu cycle. They also include breakfast and lunch and are written to meet NSLP and school breakfast program meal pattern requirements, including the required meal components and nutrition requirements. There are a number of product lists that go along with the Making the Grade publication also, including a cereal list, an individually wrapped list, lower sodium item list, meat alternate list, whole grain rich list, and a yogurt list. These lists are a great resource when you're menu building or looking for item substitutions. The menus can be found in the Making the Grade publication, as well as on the Making the Grade page on Gordon Experience. The product list can be found on the Experience page as well. In addition to the menus, the Making the Grade includes other valuable information. This includes USDA regulations, the Kidzine, which is nutrition-related activities appropriate for grade levels K through 8 and 9 through 12, and is intended to be printed and distributed to students. The Making the Grade also has information on nutrition education and training, operations tools to assist you with things such as cafeteria design and inventory management, to name a couple. Some additional resources provided include commodity management and online ordering, documentation needs for the administrative review, menu calendar templates, salad bar and choice food bar layouts, and fruit and vegetable conversions. One concept to consider for your menu is using a choice food bar. This gives students the freedom to choose what they want within the guidelines you have to follow. Choice food bar ideas can be found in the Making the Grade and include guidance for a potato bar, a pasta bar, Southwest bar, and a ramen bar. The guidance includes images demonstrating how to set up the bar, as well as serving sizes and information on how each item contributes to the meal pattern. You will also find helpful tips to a successful food choice bar, which includes providing pre-portioned food items to ensure students are taking the appropriate amount and can assist staff in quickly identifying portion sizes, or use signage, pictures, or plated samples to demonstrate appropriate portion size. It is also useful to provide the appropriate sized serving utensils to assist students in taking the correct serving size. We've also provided some general food safety information. This helpful handout from Cambro includes cart options to consider when using choice food bars. This handout includes links to different cart layouts, ingredients for those different bar concepts, and product solution links that are in the orange bubbles to the right of the page. Next, we have information on after-school meal programs. Many schools offer an after-school meal program in order to provide a safe place with structured activities, supportive adults, and good nutrition while decreasing food insecurity. This toolkit is intended for school food service professionals who are looking to implement or revamp an after-school meal program. Check out our toolkit, which organizes a number of resources all in one place for you. It includes the reimbursable meal requirements, meal service ideas, a grab-and-go menu with product lists, and resources for additional information. In addition, if you're looking to revamp or introduce a school breakfast program, we also have a page dedicated to that on Experience. The page includes information on the benefits to providing school breakfast, as well as how school breakfast changes lives. You can also find school breakfast models, grab-and-go breakfast ideas with product lists, marketing information, and information for getting buy-in from important stakeholders. Here we have information on where to obtain meal documentation, including CN labels and product formulation statements. We know that keeping documentation on hand for your menu items is important, so we have 2 ways you can obtain the documentation you need. First, Gordon Experience has a searchable database. where you can locate items based on the 6-digit reorder number, save, and download or print for your records. The next place you can obtain documentation is right in online ordering. For items that contribute meal equivalents, you can click on a hyperlink in the ingredient statement on the Nutrition tab. Here, you can see a visual of what this looks like in online ordering. After the window pops up with the PDF documentation, you can download or print for your records. We have various professional standard training opportunities for you and your staff to assist in meeting the required hours. We provide food service training topics and webinars on education-specific related topics, as well as general food safety, food allergens, and cleaning and sanitizing. The training topics can be found on Gordon Experience under Resources, then Food Service Training Topics. Each one includes a slide deck, along with notes for the presentation, making it easy for you to conduct the training. Also includes any relevant supporting documents, a pre and post test, an activity, an attendance sheet, and a certificate of completion. The webinars and webinar certificates are also on Experience under Webinars. Our Professional Standards Training Opportunities handout outlines which webinars and food service training topics we have that meet professional standards training requirements. The certificates of completion can be saved for your proof of training when your next administrative review comes up. The last resource we will take a look at is our Taste Test Toolkit. This is a one-stop shop to help you implement a taste test with your students, family members, and staff. This toolkit walks you through the benefits of conducting a taste test as well as planning the steps and considerations for the day of the event. The purpose of conducting a taste test toolkit is to get feedback on potential new items and recipes for your menu, introduce students to new smells, textures, and flavors, as well as new food and recipes. In addition, it also serves to educate students and staff on where food comes from in food nutrition and to save money by reducing food waste. The toolkit can be found on Experience on the Health and Wellness Guide page. Now I will let Matt summarize some of the great information that we have shared with you today.
Wow, Jenny, thank you for all of that. That is some great information for us. I just want to tie a bow on everything we talked about here today. So we began by talking about the new USDA FD40 policy. If you remember, we talked about how the drawdown allocation will happen when the product is received at the distributor's warehouse now instead of when you receive it. We talked about how the distributor can only sell the product to the school that made the allocation. And we talked about how important communication is going to be during this very important time. The next thing we talked about was the supply chain and how the main impacts of the challenges we're seeing today are really tied to labor, the plant efficiencies, the variable demands, and the freight challenges. And we spent some time talking about what Gordon Food Service is doing to address some of this and move forward, which led us to our conversation about Gordon ordering. We had a great opportunity to take a look at what live inventory can look like for us and how seeing our commodities and things like that are going to look in the new system. We then had a great explanation about the different resources that are available for us from Jenny and the Nutritional Resource Center, hearing great ideas about how we can succeed in these challenging times, whether that's adopting some speed scratch recipes, continuing with meal kits as an additional revenue source. That was a great idea. Talked about the different product substitutions that are available and the great white papers as well, on top of all the other great things she talked about. You are our school food service heroes. We are here for you, and hopefully you feel that and you sense that from the time we've had here today. Thank you for your business, and thank you for everything you do.